Okay. Well, let me first off, I want to thank so many of you for dropping your water line. Devin, where are you? You in here? We're hiding. Thank you. Zeke. Um, Tammy. All of you, everybody's dropped their water line. So I'm really emotional right now, and I don't know how to get back. So I'm going to try. As you know, I'm Renee Walker, and I have two grown sons who, one of them's there on the camera, and the other one's actually just got back from Argentina doing a language immersion, and he is headed to medical school with fingers crossed. So I'm really proud of them. And I've been married to their dad for 27 years because he's the funniest guy I've ever met in my life, and he's really cute. And so that's why I stay with him. And he can cook really well. And so I think I'm gonna need these. Okay. So anyway, I started the sex education because I realized I became aware that parents really didn't have tools. It's a really tough topic to talk about for most parents, and they didn't have the tools. They didn't know how to advocate for sex ed in their schools, and so I started this organization. Well, in my community, it really kind of the word got out that, hey, their mom talks about sex. And so, like amongst the teens, you know. And so one day, and this was back when there was it was MySpace. MySpace was like the cool thing. And in fact, my son Bryce said, "Mom, you gotta get on MySpace." And so I said, "Okay, can you do that for me?" And so he set me up. And so I like started talking about sex education on MySpace, and all the kids are like, whoa. And so one day, though, I came home, and there was a message on my MySpace, and it was a private message, and it was from my younger son's very, very, very best friend. And he was in the 10th grade, and he said, "I really need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Okay, tell me what it's about. What do you need to talk to me? I mean, I'm open. You can talk to me." "No, I really don't want to talk about this online. I'd like to talk to you in person." And I thought, okay. I didn't push it, kind of let it go. Now he was at our house all the time, but it took him like 2 months to get to the point where he felt safe enough to talk. And I said the house was kind of bustling, and I pulled him aside because I knew we wouldn't be noticed. I go, "Why don't you tell me what's going on?" And he started shaking. He just started shaking and started crying. And I was like, oh, what is going on? But I had a sneaky suspicion that it had to do with sexual orientation. And he could not find the words. So I sort of jumped in to try and help him a little bit. And I said, are you struggling with your sexual orientation? And he starts nodding and crying, and I go, "Are you gay?" And he said, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, okay, all right, everything's good. We're good. We got that over with. Okay, I'm here for you. Promise you, I'm here for you." And then, but what I didn't see coming was the thing that he told me next, and that was that he was in love with my son. And so at that point, I didn't know the sexual orientation of my younger son. I just knew that they were the very best of friends, and that this must be just horribly difficult for him. That he was gay, he had known since the 5th grade, and that I was the only one that he had ever told. So I asked him, I said, why didn't you tell your parents? And he said, "My parents don't talk, and my dad would kill me." And that's exactly what he said. And I knew his dad would kill him. They were friends of ours, and I knew they loved their children very much, the beautiful children. But my heart was breaking knowing that he felt unsupported in his own home and he didn't feel safe at school. I knew he didn't feel safe at school, because he was hiding a secret and he feared being found out. And I knew I had to do something, but I didn't know what to do. So first off, I swore confidentiality. So this is just between me and him. I'm a mandated reporter. If they're hurting, and you all know this, if they're hurting themselves, they're hurting someone else, or someone is hurting them, fine. You need to break the confidence. I told him that, but he wasn't hurting himself or anybody else, and nobody was hurting him. He just needed support. So I got him some books, and I got him a couple of videos to watch on the subject of gay teens, and I told him that whenever he was ready, I would support him in coming out to my son. And at that time, like I said before, I didn't know if my son was gay, so I couldn't tell him, like, oh yeah, he's gay and maybe he loves you too. I couldn't say that. So it took another several weeks, and he was there all the time, studying. They were there studying, and I'm like, do you want to do it now? You want to do it now? And then, so like one day, it's like, do you want to do it? I think maybe we should do this. And so he's like, okay. And so he, sits down on the couch, and I go to the other room, grab my other son. I go, hey, can you come in here? Will wants to talk to you. Will needs to talk. And so I'd gone to get my son, but when I came back, Will's on the couch, and he's just curled up in a ball, and he's crying on him, and he's snotting and crying, and it's really getting intense. And I looked over at my son, and I said, I think we need to hold a space of love for him right now, and let's just hold that. And so my son just held it. I said, you can see he's in a lot of pain, and let's just give him time. And we did. And this time I felt it was really important for him to be the one to say he was gay. And he knew the words. I had found them for him, and he knew how to do it, and I had been talking to him, so we just waited and waited and waited, and when someone else cries, and then you just start crying, and we're all crying, and he looked up, and he looked at my son, and he said, I'm gay, and he said, and I like you. And I didn't know what was going to happen, and my son, he got up off the couch where he was sitting, and I was sitting on this one couch, and Will was sitting on this other, like right beside me. So here's Will, here's me, and my son gets up and he walks around, and he just enveloped his friend in this embrace, and he said, I like you too, but not that way. And we all we were all like piled up and crying together, and it was, I know I'm crying and stuff, but it was so beautiful. And I felt sad that his parents were missing this beautiful and really poignant moment, But I felt really, really grateful that he felt safe enough in our home, to share this. And so I didn't think I was going to cry through this whole stupid thing. Jeez. I can't, it's like every time I tell the story. So, anyway. So he went along, and I said, it's up to you to come out. I live with all these men, these heterosexual guys, and I said, so he'd already come out to Jesse, and I said, however you want to do it. A few days later, he asked to talk to Bryce, and they went in the back room for 2 hours and talked. They didn't come out 2 hours. Bryce embraced him. I love you. And then he came out to my husband, and my husband embraced him. And after that, our house was just this real safe house for him, and he blossomed. He didn't do that shaking thing anymore, and he started stretching, and he just was gay, and it was so beautiful to see this person unfold in his true self, and not be this frozen thing that he was before. So publicly, he did remain in the closet, and he didn't come out at school. Um, um, but he did have a boyfriend, quietly, privately. He had a boyfriend, and his boyfriend broke up with him, and he was crying at home. And his mom asked him, what's the matter? And he said, my boyfriend just broke up with me. And that was kind of how he came out to his mom. And she goes, your boyfriend? He goes, yeah, I'm gay. And she said, well, we can't tell your father about this because he's going on a trip with your sister and it will ruin his vacation. So that was her response to him. And they were friends of ours. And in fact, they were good friends of ours. And he said, well, if you need someone to talk to, you can talk to Renee. And she said, I have people I can talk to. And they haven't spoken to us since. So that's been hard and sad for me. But more importantly was the process that happened between the boys. My younger son went through the process of grief at losing his heterosexual friend, the illusion of his heterosexual friend. It was quite a process, and it was quite a roller coaster for us. And his friend had to go through rejection. His friend had to go through self-loathing. His friend honestly said, I don't want to be gay. I wanted the white picket fence. I wanted the kids, the wife. That's what I wanted. I don't want this. So he had to move through that to really accept himself. Today he's currently out, and he gave me permission to tell this story. And how this ties into life skills is that, if we're not really talking about the first question we ask about a baby, is it a boy or a girl? It's a sex-based question. And suddenly the conversation stops after that. As soon as Johnny's in line and says, Mom, is he a boy? Does he have a penis? Because he looks like a boy, and you're like, don't say that in the store. And like, oh, no, shh, we don't say that. And so suddenly we stop talking about it. And that's unfortunate because, as the bullying panel was pointing out, children are living in silent hell. And a really big component or a big cause for bullying is real or perceived sexual or real or perceived homosexuality. And we know that that's a real biggie. So it all ties together, and it ties into life skills. It's so important that parents get comfortable with talking about sex, do it early and often, and let your kids know your values, give them information that's comfortable and appropriate for your family and appropriate for their age, and I support you in that. If you need support, you can contact us at bocciinfo.org, and thank you for that.